Still discussing the question of the union dispute as it relates to the so-called minorities. We've dealt in the first part with the minorities of the North, the part we call the Middle Belt today. In the second part, we dealt with the minorities of the East, the part we call the Niger Delta or South-South today. And in this third part, we'll be dealing with the minorities of the Western region that became Midwest in 1963. And the reason we're making this broadcast is to situate the intentions of those who have been doing all those gerrymandering, the British and the Caliphate, and side by side, the best interests of those whose lands are being carved into one designation or the other, described as one region or one or the other, And so, as the union dispute raised in December of 2020 by the Nigerian Indigenous Nationalities Alliance for Self-Determination continues to rage and push itself towards resolution, particularly around the question of the constitutional arrangement of Nigeria, being today called the 1999 Constitution. How does it affect? What are the options? What are the viable options for these minorities? Yes, there are people who have been suggesting that we return to 1963. Some say let's return to 1960. It's not as simple as that. It's not as straightforward as that. Because nothing can be built on mischief. We remember that the minorities in the north of the time, northern region of the time, western region of the time, eastern region of the time, had all gone before the Williams Commission to demand a separation from the dominating nationalities in each of these three blocks. And therefore, you had the Bini, the Urobo, the Shekiri, and all of those in that eastern part of western region at the time, all the way to Asaba, banding together to demand the separation from Ibadan, from the western control of the Yoruba-dominated western region of the time. Of course, it wasn't done because the British had their intentions of leaving these minorities in the belly of the majorities in the three blocks as an instrument of control. I don't know what other considerations they had. But when from the independence election, in the pushing and pulling that was happening around Awolowo, they wanted to prune down the influence of Chief Obafemi Awolowo, who had been a successful premier of Western region and who had contested election to become Prime Minister of Nigeria. In the time they were trying to deny him that opportunity, he came to where he was accused of all kinds of things and then sent to prison. It was in the further attempt to whittle down his influence that the territory he governed, that is the Western region that was his base, had to be balkanized. So they were that cutting out of the Midwest was not because the people of Midwest wanted to be free. They had demanded that freedom. It wasn't given. But when mischief had to be done to reduce the kingdom of Awolowo, they were cut out in 1963. But having cut them out since 1963, where are they today? Yes, there's Delta State. There's Edo State. Where has that left them? In the Constitution of Nigeria that still has 68 items on the exclusive list, the oil and gas assets of Delta State is still the property of that caliphate that masquerades as a federal government of Nigeria. In Edo State today, the governor does not have control over one rifle. The governor cannot do the road from Bini to Asaba. The governor cannot, there are so many, all those things on the exclusive list, and therefore, the reason for this broadcast is to let you know in that flank, just like others are being told, that the decolonization that the British left halfway is still in the hands of the caliphate through the constitution they imposed. that seized your sovereignty and your assets. And at this time that the union disputes have been raised, we hail our brother Don Pedro Obaseki and his colleagues in the Midwest movement, who had identified their sovereignty and who have been, in the vanguard of trying to hold on, take it from where Nigeria has, detained it all the while, because the independence, the extrication that happened for them in 1963 is now compromised again into the belly of that monster that calls itself the unitary Nigeria, that has once again seized everybody's head. So what they recovered in 1963 have been lost again to the Nigeria that is operated under the 1999 Constitution. And so we invite all of those in that bloc to rise up, to wake up now and be a part of how that decolonization process can be completed. Let us remember that the treaties signed by the British with all of the oil rivers, colony or protectorate, the trading treaties and the protection treaties. The Shekiri had their own, the Boni had their own, everybody. Why did the British not come back to those who signed those treaties with them? Why did the British transfer those sovereignties to another entity in 1914 without reference to the owners of the sovereignties? That entity to which those sovereignties were transferred is the Nigeria of today. And what the Nigerian Indigenous Nationalities Alliance for Self-Determination has done is to go all the way back to 1900, all the way back to the 1860s, to say, look, everybody come now, let us rework the basis, the constitutional basis of our union. There are propositions that have been made. The ones who have seceded from the union are no longer of any interest or concern to us. The ones who seceded from the secular union were the contiguous, the 12 contiguous states of Nigeria. We are now talking about the 3 that are left. And so while the Middle Belt is doing their own, charter of relationship to create internal cohesion, the eastern side of the eastern half of southern Nigeria, that's the lower Nigeria, the old Midwestern region, and the old eastern region coming together as nationalities, because we now have to, we are now talking about the sovereignty of each of the nationalities, big or small. Isoko may be small, Ishekiri may be small, Anang and Efik may not be as big as Ijo, Ijo may not be as big as Igbo, but we put a map to it. Everybody will stand on their father's space while they go to write a charter of relationship that is already in process. In the days ahead, you are going to see it in public. The formation in which you can take back that sovereignty. Ogoni is not going to be able to take back their sovereignty alone by its own effort. We saw how the first attempt ended. Igbo is not going to be able to do so. Edo is not going to be able to do so. So, but holding together, we will be able to recover our sovereignty from Nigeria. And what do we do with that sovereignty? We are not bringing it from, like they did from British to Caliphate. No, we are now bringing it to the table where a charter of relationship with the map in which everybody is delineated separately, will be the basis of discussing what is acceptable to you to live with your neighbor in some kind of formation. If you can't find common ground, of course, plebiscites will be used to settle what is there. But first things first, let us break the hand of that monster as it relates to us. And so it is to get us, stand up and join in this joint push to recover our sovereignty. And everybody, because Nigeria refused to do that for everybody all the while, for anybody all the while. But NINAS is offering us our sovereignty back for us to decide by referendums what we're going to do with those sovereignties. And charters of relationship, as we may want to commit to, everybody being on the table equally. That opportunity has never been extended to all the so-called minorities. I say so-called because when you put them together, you discover that there are no minority. And so let us proceed in strength to, there's nothing really standing our way. That constitution that enabled the enemy is dead and gone. It's just for us to charge our way through the prison gate and become free. But we don't want anarchy. That's why we're offering transition and all kinds of things, but we need to make it happen in time. Those inviting you to elections in 2023, under this constitution, under this 1999 constitution, are inviting you back to damnation. They're inviting you to be held down until the conquest that is coming towards you from that invading caliphate gets to your doorstep. We can do better than that. Let's proceed in some other direction. Thank you.